Hello, Gabriel here, and somebody asked if I could make a top 5 video, so here you go. You know, I'm a man of the people. It's not going to be a pretty video, I'm not going to make it all look special and that, but sorry. Just going to put it on a certain stage, just in case I feel like doing one right after. So, I should say that I do sort of have a top 5 cars, but I like them all for different reasons. So, they're my top 5 cars, but I wouldn't say I actually have a favourite car. And also I'd like to point out that I know that my taste is going to be, if it's watched by enough people, I'm probably going to get some people saying, oh my god, you didn't mention a Group B car. Well, that's nice. I don't care. Okay. So, starting with this car, the Renault Alpine in that livery. I think this car on this game is an absolute pleasure to drive. I do admit that it's kind of overpowered in its class. I think that would be fair to say. But I mean, look, it's like the lightest car with the most horsepower, revving to the most amount, 5-speed transmission. Yeah, it's just really good. It's such a nice sound. It's just so easy to drive. It's such a pleasure to drive, I think, particularly in places like the tarmac stages. It's just brilliant. Next, I'd say the Opel, mostly just because of the sound of it, and I think it looks awesome as well, particularly in this one. I'm a big fan of yellow and blue. It sounds awesome. It looks awesome. Its handling is just like the end can get away from you, kind of like 5% of the time. But when you're good at it, it's good to you. And the puppy's trying to get out of the room to go and see Mum. So yeah, I would say this is my next one. And then we just skip over a few things here. Next, I would say the Subaru Impreza 1995. Couple of reasons. It suits my driving style, which some people will have noticed. I like to think that I drive very much like Sebastian Loeb, kind of keep it as straight as possible, as low risk as possible, as consistent as possible. Keep the wheels on the tires on the ground, and keep the back end in, and that car just kind of, when you drive it, it just kind of does that itself. It just sort of does that for you. Now this starts to get difficult. Maybe I'll sort of count the car that I like in this as a sort of honourable mention. This car, Citroen C4, would be another one of my favourites, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to go like, well, that's ridiculous. I mean, this is just easier to drive, and this seems to have more traction, and the Ford Focus is what Colin McRae drove and all that sort of stuff. But this car just has so much. It just keeps going and going and going. Like if you put the long gears on this to max, you're going like 230 kilometers an hour, something like that. It just keeps going and going. This is going to sound odd, but it's kind of a car that it's easy to put too much power down while you're cornering and just trash the car. So it means that while it's very responsive, it does have its limits. You know, you can't just chuck it around like a moron, like some of the 2010 cars, like the Polo. You seem to be able to get away with most anything with. But this guy, you actually have to be responsible with its oomph. So, you know, put the throttle down and you're gonna feel something come back at you. Coming to the last car, and my first love is the Fiesta. Simply because you can do whatever you want with it. It's so responsive. Now, a lot of people don't like modern cars, because they say they feel they have no character. Well, I think that's ridiculous. Think of it this way. This car responds very well to precisely what you, as the driver, put into it. This car, more so I think than the other ones as well, I should point out, this car responds to what you put into it. It almost doesn't have its own character. It's like if you yourself were just, you and your co-driver were just running really fast down the stage, like really fast, like up to 100 miles an hour. I think to say that means that this car is somehow easier to drive, or like is somehow boring, is like saying that rallying is boring, I think, because, as I just said, this car is the embodiment of what you want to do at any given time or situation. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on why I'd actually rather drive this than a Group B car. Just some honourable mentions for some various reasons. These two cars I find amazing. This is just the best thing at Monte Carlo ever. This I wish was actually the 99 WRC car, Ford Focus, because as far as I'm concerned, even with its problems, the 99 WRC season was one of the best ever, with the greatest looking car ever in it, and I believe, in my humble opinion, that was the 99 Focus. Even though it finished like 3 rallies out of the season, I think McRae took it to victory like twice or something, and I think it was just beautiful. I think it's an iconic car. You roll that up at a rally history day, and people are they're gonna look at that, I think. So yeah, another sort of honourable mention is well, how could I not say about the Peugeot 306 Maxi, because the sound of it is just incredible. It's front wheel drive. A lot of people don't get on with front wheel drive. I say I don't care. There's a reason that you didn't see any rear wheel drive cars beyond this period, and you still do see front wheel drive cars in rally to this day. R2, for example, that we'll be seeing in Dirt 4. The sound of it's amazing. The responsiveness is amazing. It's got some solid history behind it. Gilles Panizzi and Francois Delacour, although I don't like to talk about Gilles Panizzi because I think he's horrible. But anyway, it's the sound of it is incredible. The feel of it's amazing, and it's brilliant that it made it into this game, I think, and I hope that it will be in Dirt 4. So yeah, there's my thoughts on my top 5 cars, and with some 2 honourable mentions. And I hope somebody finds this interesting. Okay, cheers, bye.